Hello, my name is Janeska Knight, and this is my Ed.S oral exam for counselor education and supervision. Question number 1. Demonstrate the ability to apply research methods to counseling interventions and/or program evaluation and use the information to improve programming. I have developed an advanced understanding and genuine like for research. Making sure that the interventions used throughout the comprehensive counseling program are evidence research-based and effective for my students is something that I try my best to do. Doing a needs assessment at the beginning of the year for faculty and staff provides informative data on how to improve the counseling program. I would like to also get the parents and board members involved and get their participation at the beginning of the school year to get more information on their views and thoughts of the counseling program and what they would like to see. I also give a needs assessment to the students at the beginning of the school year just so I can start to formulate my small groups and see what they feel like the school needs to provide for them, because we are doing what we do for them. At the end of the year, the faculty is given the opportunity to give feedback about the counseling program, and the joy of my faculty is that majority of their children attend our school, so I'm not only getting the teacher side of things, I'm also getting the parent side of things as well. I attach that into the PowerPoint. By obtaining this information from the survey, I will be able to see where I can improve the program from the upcoming year, for the upcoming year. Along with improving the program, finding more research, evidence-based interventions, articles, and books within my resource library to better support the students, parents, as well as teachers is something that I'm looking forward to doing. And after every classroom guidance lesson, the students give me an exit ticket, basically your ticket out of the door. And for every small group, they do a pre and post test just so that I know that you have made some kind of progress or you've learned something from this. This was beneficial in some way. Question number 2. Demonstrate the ability to provide quality clinical supervision. I chose the integrated developmental model. This model presents 3 and at times 4 levels of counselor development. Level 1, supervisees are generally entry-level students who are high in motivation, yet high in anxiety and fearful of evaluation. Level 2, supervisees are at mid-level and experience fluctuating confidence and motivation, often linking their own mood to success with clients. And level 3 supervisees are essentially secure, stable in motivation, have accurate empathy, tempered by objectivity, and use therapeutic self in intervention. There are also 8 domains of professional functioning, which are intervention, skill, competence, assessment techniques, interpersonal assessment, client conceptualization, individual differences, theoretical orientation, treatment plans and goals, and professional ethics. I will urge my supervisees to take the time to see what makes them tick about other people and any insecurities that they may have. Through understanding these things, the supervisee will be able to know themselves better and be able to maneuver tough situations with clients that present any of the factors that they listed. One of our main goals as supervisors is to work in a way so that our supervisees are confident enough and gaining more proficiency so that they are not as dependent on the instructor, but make sound decisions on their own. As a supervisor, you must employ active listening, encouraging, reflecting, problem solving, and critical thinking skills in order to act as a model for the supervisees. And when I was a first-year counselor of a brand new charter school, I had to figure things out on my own. And with no county or district support, because we are our own district, I want to make sure that my supervisees know what to do, know who to contact, know what organizations to reach out to, and know what programs their school is interested in implementing, so that if this situation ever were to happen to them, they would know what to do. Exploring our biases prior to working with supervisees, you try your best to create a safe environment for all your clients, regardless of their culture, is what counselors strive to do. We evolve as counselors through new and innovative ideas to capture attention and pull the clients in to take a closer look at themselves. They in turn grow into better individuals with our help and our guidance. Question number 3. Demonstrate an understanding of current issues in counseling and supervision. During my current issues in counseling and supervision course, we discussed situations that were close to our hearts, news, and situations that we see in our practice. Teen pregnancy and sex education is something that I feel strongly about. For example, what do you do as a counselor when a student discloses that they are sexually active in elementary school? Never been raped, molested, or assaulted, but for enjoyment. In elementary school? I know that's weird. The problem doesn't necessarily lie in the statement from the student. To me, it goes back to who educated this student about sex. I've encountered numerous parents that feel that their child is far too young to learn about their bodies, even as far as puberty, which happens for some between 3rd and 5th grade. I've had administration and colleagues tell me to leave that conversation up to the parents. But my question is, what if it's too late? What if we could have told them about the changes, feelings, and numerous amount of things that are going to happen to their body during puberty that may lead you to look at the world around you differently? Would you make a difference? Would that even make a difference? Honestly, we would never know until we give a decent attempt. By not informing the students about their bodies, how to be healthy, and proactive sex education, because it's a scary, tough, touchy, and uncomfortable topic, we are doing them a disservice. I'm not suggesting that we have a course teaching them how to have sex, or even that it is okay for their age group to condone in this behavior. I'm just simply saying that there needs to be more information about safety procedures. I've spoken with a few parents about having the talk with their child on an age-appropriate level, but was quickly shot down because they believed it was too soon for their middle school child to learn or talk about such things. I urge for them to take some time to think about it and do research. We cannot be oblivious to the fact that by middle school, the sexual thoughts and urges start to happen. And by high school, some are experimenting their thoughts and urges. And now I feel like it is happening a lot earlier than when it was happening for me. I can't say that my friends, my circle of friends were exhibiting in that behavior, but my classmates were, or at least they were talking about it. And it took me a minute to think about it and look back on it. In middle school, they were talking about things that I know I was clearly not prepared for. But even though you aren't that student that is having those conversations, your classmates are, and you overhear it. You may not understand it fully, but you overhear it. So yes, it is still time for us to have that talk. I know there are students that have yet to fully want to explore their urges, or have parents that have instilled strong values, but they can still be aware of what can happen when choosing to have sex healthily and properly. We all ideally would prefer abstinence, but we have to think about the reality of what's happening and educate them on contraception. Question 4. Demonstrate advanced skills in specialty area of interest. As a school counselor, predominantly working with elementary and middle school students, I spend a lot of my time advocating for my students as best as possible. Sometimes parents, teachers, and students don't know what they are fighting for, know how to fight, or need support during the fight. And as a counselor, I feel like that is an important duty. I advocate during Student of the Month. That is a program that I created where the teachers fill out a criteria for the student that they choose for a characteristic, such as being respectful, being safe, being responsible, showing courtesy, teamwork, and excellence. Now, some of those students are always picked for showing great behavior, but my main goal was to get the students that don't typically get picked for things. They are the behavior problems. They are the kids that you typically send to the front office or to the counselor's office for issues and problems. I wanted to provide opportunities for students that don't normally acquire accolades. Working on building their self-esteem and sense of adequacy was something that I was trying to do. And it was very shocking and surprising the amount of parents that came out for our Student of the Month program. They wanted to celebrate with their students, especially those students that usually don't get picked for being good. They brought a number of family members for our Student of the Month program, just showing how proud and supportive they are. And that in turn did help some of the behaviors, because they saw, hey, once I did something good and I got recognized for my greatness and my good behavior, my parents were more supportive. My parents were more, I had more of a support system than I felt like I had before. And it also let them know that they could do it, that if they did it once, that they can sure enough do it again. Even my special needs students participated in that. Even my emotionally behavior disability students participated in that. And they walked out of there, very tall and head held high and feeling like they were awesome and they were amazing. And especially my special needs students, they went around showing their certificates and their bag of goodies to everybody in the hallway walking back to class after the ceremony. But that is what I wanted them to feel, because they oftentimes get overlooked. And the other thing that I try my best to do is working on career preparedness and skill building. So I am moving on from an elementary school to a more of a middle school setting. GCIS, or the Georgia Career Information System, is a program sponsored by Georgia State University that the Georgia Department of Education endorsed alongside Georgia Futures. Georgia Futures took the place of Georgia College 411. The program offers a reality check component for the middle and high school students, which helps them gain a more realistic perspective of the real world after high school graduation. Now, I decided to take that a step further. I wanted to make it more of a hands-on approach. It might just make it a little bit more real to the students. I know as a student, I still think about, when am I going to use this stuff? The stuff that we've learned in school, when am I ever going to use this? I have yet to use the Pythagorean theorem in my 28 years of life, but in school we had to learn it. And I think that a lot of kids have those same questions. So why are we learning this? Why do we need to know this? Well, let's show them why they need to know this. So this works on getting them ready for the real world. Students are given the opportunity to pick a career in which best interests them and live the lifestyle they envision and try to survive as an adult with the daunting task of adulthood. That is the reality check. It is like a big game of life, the life board game. I like the game. We used to play it all the time, but then I started to think about ways that I could use it in counseling, but then on a bigger scale, ways that I can get my 8th grade students that are getting ready to go on to the high school to see, hey, it might be time for us to think about it. You want to live this extravagant lifestyle, but you want to work in a not so extravagant pay scale of a job. Or you're not applying yourself as best as you could to get the more extravagant paying job to afford your extravagant lifestyle. So if you don't put in that good and hard, strong work skills right now, it's going to hurt and hinder you later on. We're trying to set the building blocks for now for what you're going to be doing later on. If you want to be a chef, I suggest you start to practice your cooking skills now. And I tell my students all the time, I want a A-B doctor. I understand that people make C's every now and then. I understand that people make B's now and then. But I do not want a D or an F doctor, meaning that your grades all reflect the letter D and F. I want an A-B doctor. If you are going to operate on me, if you are going to tell me what is wrong with my body, I need you to be sure and certain that you know exactly what is going on. So as a doctor, you might want to be heavily in the sciences, heavily in the mathematics, heavily in the writing because, again, most doctors cannot write, and I can't tell you what they write on our prescriptions. So let's work on our handwriting skills now. I try to tell them that so they get ready now and see that what you're doing now is setting you up for your future. And if we walk through this reality check where they tell us the job that they would like, and we give them that slip with the amount of kids that we just want to give them a random amount of kids. If they're married, if they're single, and they're still parents, the house payments, the bills that come along with that. You want a car, you want to go shopping, you need food. Those are things that I don't feel that a lot of people think about educating our children on. How do you write a check? What is the difference between a credit card and a debit card? One is a loan, one is something that is in your account. Again, that is something that I think our students need to know about. So with this real life game or reality check, I think that would be a great program to have for our students. Question 5. Demonstrate knowledge, skills, and dispositions relevant to practice in a multicultural society. Acceptance is key when dealing with multicultural issues, basically saying that I accept who you are and respect our differences. Understanding communication barriers was something that I had to deal with. I had an ESOL student that would not talk in his general education class, but he would talk in his ESOL class. So it made it quite difficult for us to understand what we were trying to teach him, like that he understood what we were trying to teach him until he took the assessment, which he passed, but it was hard for us to tell what he was learning and knowing while we were going through it. But since I was talking with his ESOL teacher, he let me know that the student never stops talking in that classroom. So that let me know that I needed to do something to help this student out, be more sociable, so he wouldn't be so lonely throughout the school day. So at lunch, I set him next to students that were Hispanic as well, and that way he would have people to talk to, because it is very lonely to sit in a classroom and have nobody in the world to talk to. The lonely to sit at a cafeteria table while everybody else is talking and you have no one that you feel like you can talk to. And at recess, we tried to make sure that the classrooms that had a lot of Hispanic students kind of went at the same time, just so that this one particular student wouldn't be, again, at a time full of play and engagement, sitting by himself, not saying anything. When dealing with parents that spoke a different language, mainly Spanish, I used a translator for meetings with parents or to discuss with parents. I would send her letters so she could change them over to the Hispanic language, the Spanish language, so that we could send them home. Any information I wanted to discuss with them, I would tell her about it, and she would make sure that information was brought up to the parents, and she would provide assistance during meetings. Another thing I had to overcome was taking an accountability for high poverty rural areas operate completely different than my middle class suburban upbringing. Riding public transportation is an opportunity that I had, but my students don't necessarily get. They have to walk or ride a bike to make it to their destination, or they have to wait until somebody actually comes around with a car that they can use for the time being. In case of an emergency, my neighbor was very quick in reach if there was ever an issue. They could possibly hear me scream from my house if there was ever an issue of that nature that they needed to get to me. Well, in the rural area, you have to drive to your mailbox because of such a distance from your house to your driveway, as well as from your neighbors are not in arm's length or not in a yelling feet away for you to come and get you to help you if there was ever an instance. And especially in a small town, if you do anything good or bad, the entire town knows, instead of people barely knowing you or knowing of your existence in the suburbs. While in class, we were asked to create a program for cultural awareness, and I created a culture fair. That is something that was kind of near and dear to my heart. We used to do that in my school. It's called the Taste of Riverdale at Riverdale High School, where different cultures as well as different restaurants throughout the community would come in and just share what we have or share what they have. So I liked that idea, but I pushed it further. Within that presentation, I used the ASK diversity model, which stands for awareness, sensitivity, and knowledge. Awareness of oneself is key to understanding and being more acceptable of others. Sensitivity is necessary when dealing with others from different walks of life. One must be sensitive to the needs, wants, beliefs, and values of others. Once there is knowledge, relationships can be built without prejudice due to lack of knowledge. And again, even though this was just for a class assignment, I did bring it up to my administration. But at that time, it did seem to spark their interest, but the calendar was already full and we never came back to discuss the event. But in my new location, I do plan to bring this about because I feel like it's a great way to bring the community together. I hope that this event would be fun and festive, and involve the entire community. My plan was to do classroom guidance and activities, and those lessons and activities would be used to guide and prompt the students while hopefully bringing them to a better understanding of respect and tolerance of each other's differences. Also, this would be a great opportunity for students and the community to learn about and enjoy our other cultures among their peers. The cultures in our school, the different cultures that are in our school make up the different cultures that are in our community. And I think that there seems to be a disconnect and they don't fully realize that. And also, there have been a lot of referrals to the counselor office dealing with bullying and isolation. And I felt like that this multicultural diversity fair would help close that and decrease those amount of issues. A lot of racial sensitivity lessons were being taught throughout the school year because people would say negative things and bashing another one's cultures and beliefs and race for that matter. And I feel like this would bring some of those issues down and bring awareness about that. Even though you do not like each other, you may not have the same beliefs, you may not have the same values, needs, and wants, but you do need to respect each other. I know you will not like everybody, but you must give respect because they are human beings and they deserve it.